This is the camp before Stones River on legendary difficulty, and I have to delete a bunch of my army. So I'm going to show you how I do this in steps. First thing I'm going to do is all my unused units, which is 4th and 5th Corps, I'm going to delete and put it into the manpower pool. Now my manpower pool is 30,000, and it also drove up the efficiency of the units in the manpower pool. But now what I want to do is I want to build ballast units and get rid of everybody in the manpower pool. So I've now driven my manpower pool to 0, and I built all these guys with my worst weapons, basically just ballast. Now I have a bunch of units that are oversized, and I'm going to delete the oversized units. They'll go into the manpower pool, drive up the efficiency, and then I'll pour those good oversized units into my good units. So here I am looking at my good units, and I have these units that are 1,500. They're too big for this battle because of scaling. I want my units about 1,300. So I'm going to delete these units that I used in the last battle that are, they're over 1,300, most of them. And I'm going to delete them. And the efficiency on these guys is really good. I mean, you can see these are 40-something efficiency particularly because they did so well in the last battle. And I'm going to pour these guys then into my good units, and I'm going to then keep all of my high efficiency units. So this guy's almost 2 stars, so he's a good unit. Now, I've deleted all these high efficiency units, and I'm going to pour them into my, this is the 4th step, pour these high efficiency units into my army. And this unit here has over 60 efficiency, and I'm pouring basically 45, I guess, efficiency units, manpower into this. So that efficiency bar is not going to move at all. Also, it's not taking many recruits here. This guy, you can see I poured in 126 and had almost no effect on the efficiency of the unit. This unit is 68, so it's a bit more of a gap, but I poured in 300 and almost 50 men, and he didn't lose that much efficiency. If I'd poured raw recruits in, it would have been a bigger drop. But in this way, I'm saving. I had to make a decision either to save my best troops and make use of them, or to just dump them into the manpower pool to drive up the overall manpower pool number. But as you're going to see, the units that I'm going to have to delete are still going to drive up the manpower pool efficiency really high. So the decision I make is 1st Corps, as you can see, 1,300. Some 2nd Corps units are going to be 1,300. The reason I do this is because I'll go over it at the end. I'll go over how scaling works, and there's also a bug in the game that can be really finicky, and it's really finicky in this battle. It can, 1st Corps is on the top 2 divisions, and 3rd Corps is in the 2nd, and 4th Corps is going to be on the next page. Or first 2 divisions are 1st Corps. So, and I want 1st Corps to be 1,300 because they're going to do most of the fighting the longest. My goal is that these units will have about 1,000 men at the end of day 1. That's my goal. About 1,000 men. Now, some units obviously will get shot up by Union artillery, and the number will be smaller than that. But overall, I want my units to be about 1,000 men at the end of the day for the units I'm going to bring into the field. So 1st Corps is going to have to be bigger. And I'm also, I did the math on scaling, keep the enemy army about 60,000. 2 reasons for that. I don't want the enemy can scale up to 83,000 in this battle, but I don't want it to be much below 60,000 because I'd like to kill as close to 50,000 as possible. I think that the rough number, this is just the assumption I went in on, is that you have to kill about 45,000 to drive down the manpower pool. So getting as close to 50,000 kills as possible. I need the enemy to be about over 60,000, so I want that, but not much over 60,000. The way this works at 50 to 60 manpower is that the AI is going to bring in 1.6, whatever your army is. Now, the surprise for me, the unpleasant surprise, is that 11 of my units don't come onto the battlefield. So I am going to see about 6,000 fewer men than I expect. So yeah, that was an unpleasant surprise, and I just have to deal with it. But there it is. So these units, these infantry units are all very good. These units are almost 2 stars. I'm able to create, I mean, this is pretty cool. 1st Division of 3rd Corps is going to be made up of, I mean, just look at this. With a good general, has the 2nd star right away. I mean, just, it's very cool. So I can't put a 2-star in here for the battle, but I can give this unit a 2nd star. So what I want to do is find a good 1-star general, and yeah, he keeps the star. I mean, that's very cool. So we're going to be able to do that, but I'm going to run out of men, and then I'm going to have to delete some of these 1-star units. But yeah, I'm make sure the command line is good enough and look for ways to get the 2nd perk by putting a slightly better officer in. I don't want to put a 2-star. In my unit command role, but if I can find a good 1-star general and put them in that position, that's perfectly fine. So like I put this guy in, he's not quite good enough. Maybe I can go find a better general. And also division command, I didn't notice it. I'm going to put a 2-star in there, and that'll bump things up just a little bit more. And I should be able to squeeze out 3 2-star units instead of 3 1-star units. But all of these units are by putting a good officer, all the units in 3rd Corps, by putting a good officer in there when I build the unit, I will go ahead and select the 2nd star, and then the unit will be very, very close to getting the 2nd star. And if he goes up in efficiency in battle, that 2nd star should become active. So in the battle itself. So yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm going ahead and I'm, okay, that guy just needs a slightly better officer, as you'll see. But anyway, then review the army. And I go through all my units to make sure that the units have the weapons I think they have, because I move stuff around a lot. I make sure my artillery is topped up. I have 35,000 men in the army, very high efficiency, I think 50 morale and condition. So the manpower pool is really, really up, and I'm going to get 8,300 more men added to this. So yeah, that's going to be nice. These units are all good. They have the right officer in command. All of these units will come in. 13 units come in if you put 6 units in 1st and 2nd Division, and then 1 unit in 3rd Division. All 13 will come in. If you put 5, 5, and anything else in 3rd, you're going to get 11. So it brings in all of 1st and 2nd Division and 1 unit in 3rd Division. And so the trick is to put 6 units in 1st and 2nd Division. I got a bad die roll here. 19 units are supposed to come in, and I only got 11. So 8 units did not come in. So this is a look at the inventory. Springfield 55s, 7,500 guns, 20,000 Enfields, 7,500 Lorenzes. I mean, yeah, this is just, I have 9,042s for ballast. So yeah, basically I bought everything I really wanted, and then I just poured the rest into Enfields. So Enfields are always good. The reason I did this is there's a bug in this battle on the Union side, and I assume it's the same bug on the Confederate side. And the bug is that it will take money out of cash at the end of day 1 and put it into your supply wagon. So don't have any cash around. This is my officer pool. Majors I can now build unit with majors, and it'll get the star. So every single officer here except captains can give me a star, and I have, as you can see, there's like 50 officers in the manpower pool. So 16 medicine, and yeah. Okay, I've reviewed the army. It says 7,300, but if you capture 1,000, it's 8,300 men. And my goal going into this was, let's lose less than 8,300 and capture 1,000 men, and then we'll go up in manpower. So yeah, 20, 13, and 19 is what's supposed to come in, 37,000. The enemy has 60,000, but I get closer to 30,000 versus 60,000. So this is what the army looks like. Yeah, that unit had Enfields. Yeah, and I missed it. I mean, I just missed it. So I had to go back and put Harper's Ferries in there. So all my units have Harper's Ferries except one, and that one unit has 55s, and he's not going to come into the battle anyway. So as you can see, 4th and 5th Corps are empty. I have 35,000 men in my manpower pool. And I find out something interesting. After I do all of this, my manpower pool is now better than this unit, this artillery unit that I built, I guess, late. So I can build a raw unit from my manpower pool, and it's better than this unit, so I go ahead and do that. For my other units, the firearms on the unit, while the efficiency is higher in my manpower pool than on some of these artillery units, the firearms number is very high, so I don't want to delete those guys. So, yeah. This unit doesn't come in anyway. So, no, this guy does. This guy does come in. So, okay. 3rd and 4th Division of 3rd Corps that you're looking at now are not going to come in. And 1 division out of the 24-pound howitzer, of course the 24-pound howitzer, in 2nd Division is not going to show up. And I could have really used these units in the battle. So, yeah, my efficiency, 25, morale, 50, stamina, 48, firearms, 30, and that's before any perks. So those guys are looking good. It's going to be diluted a little bit with the, the normal recruits that I'm going to get from the battle, but okay. Yeah, I take a look at this, take a look at these numbers. The problem I see is firearms. So, yeah, I don't want to create a unit, even though, see, the second unit's closer to the 2nd star. Firearms is the problem. So, that's a decision you have to make. And I decide to keep the firearms higher. So, yeah, we'll just get more XP. Doesn't matter anyway. This guy isn't going to show up. So, yeah. And I'm looking at all these other guys. They have very high firearms. And I want to keep that number for my artillery. So, yeah, the 3rd Division, those 3 infantry units, I'm expecting to bring in 9 infantry on my right flank, and I only bring in 6. So the actual number is closer to 30,000 that actually come in. I'm outnumbered 2-1, which is not supposed to happen. This is a bug in the game. Pandakraut has addressed this in his mod. So it's supposed to be 20 on the left, 13 in the center, 19 on the right, but in this battle we only get 11. The units I built drove up scaling. So yeah, double whammy. Not only do I not get the units, but it also drove up scaling. I could have dropped the enemy numbers. What I would have done if I'd known that I was only going to get 11 is I would have put more men into my units, which would have been handy, and then faced the same 60,000. So my units could have been 14 or 1,500, and I still would have faced only 60,000. So with a manpower pool of 55 to 60, here are the numbers. The cap is 83, the bottom is about 55, and it's 1.6 of whatever you have. Now this is at manpower of 55 to 60. So if I had been able to bring all of my units in, all 60 units, which you can with Pandakraut's mod, I would have brought in 72,000. I would have brought in my entire army. And I think that's the way the battle is meant to be fought, that you bring in everybody. Now, the downside of that is, if the enemy has more troops, you're going to take more losses. and you only need to kill 45,000, as you'll see, somewhere around 45,000. I want to get as close to 50 as possible, but somewhere around 45,000 will drive the enemy manpower pool down as low as you could possibly, the basement. So getting more kills than that is only going to drive up your losses and chop into your manpower pool for no reason. That's my calculation. So, there's a, Ultimate General Civil War on Legendary requires metagaming. And I really metagamed this because of the bug in the game. And I took the time to do it because I had to delete my army anyway. And I really hated deleting my units. I wish that wasn't a thing that you had to do at this point in the Confederate campaign. I built those units. I really liked them. I didn't want to delete them. But if I'm going to delete them, then I'm going to build like the perfect army for this battle to get the result that I want, because metagaming. So anyway, here are the numbers. Basically, it's 1.6 until you hit the top. Then the ratio slows down a little bit and it tops out at 83. So I would have really liked to have played this battle over 2 days with 72,000 versus 83. I think that would have been a very good time. But what you're going to see is 30,000 versus 60, outnumbered 2 to 1 because of the bug in the game that's not going to allow most of my army, or a lot of my army, to show up. And so I hope you enjoy the battle. I'll see you there. Thanks.